introduced Klára Jiráková from, I thought IHE had the monopoly on acronyms, but I fear the European side is even worse. So I've been told it's MSEG, and it's working on EHDSI, and then that got transferred into MyHealth EU, but we'll get there in the end. So we'll, without further ado, it's up to Klára.
Thank you very much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start and before I forget, I'd like to thank Stefan and Sophie for inviting me to this wonderful event. My name is Klára Jiráková. I come from Czech Republic, from the Vysočina region, where I have my normal job as an IT department lawyer and IT project manager. To the dismay, or hopefully not anger, of my bosses, I have less and less time for this job because about 8 years ago, I have decided to connect my professional life with eHealth on European level. So for the second term, I've been now serving along with my colleague Eamon Coyne, who you'll be meeting later on as well. We've been serving as co-chairs of a body called MyHealth eHealth Member State Expert Group. In the world of MyHealth EU, or EHDSI, as I'll explain later, it is a body that stands below something called eHealth Network. You've probably heard that before as well. eHealth Network is our decision-making body consisting of member state political representation and commission representation. And we stand just below eHealth Network, where we're the working body. We're consisting of national contact point managers and their teams, and we're working together very intensively in many work groups to create the rules and specifications for cross-border services to make them work. So, I can skip this. All right, so MyHealth EU is now a functional, operational, and robust infrastructure for that connects already now. I think I have 10, but now I think it's 11 member states. We have welcomed Poland lately. And we're connected in an infrastructure that's capable of transferring patient data. We have now 2 services operational: patient summary and e-prescription. As you can see, and I have to apologize beforehand, with my colleagues, we share our not only information about our projects, but sometimes we also share some pictures and slides. I don't think that's a bad sign, and I hope you won't think I didn't do my homework, because you will see some of the pictures and some of the diagrams that you've seen before, and you will hear what you heard before. But I think it's a good thing, because you will see and understand that we speak the same language. We are in everyday contact, we know about each other, and we understand that our projects are not separate islands, but we need to work together as the projects run by. We can't wait. For example, MyHealth EU services can't wait until cross-border project ends and then see what you've created, take it, and work from there. So we're working together every day, and we have many common meetings, and we have one common denominator, of course, in the person of Marcello. I don't have the magic touch. All right. This is this is Marcello's picture. Thank you, Marcello, for creating this. But sharing is our buzzword. So we do reuse each other's pictures. But I like to use this picture because it nicely shows how we evolved. We are now in between the expansion and extension words. You have the EHDSI. This is what the infrastructure was called before. So whenever you hear EHDSI, eHealth Digital Services Infrastructure, it has been kind of renamed into MyHealth EU. It's true that EHDSI is a bit of a technical term and doesn't really tell someone who hasn't heard of it before, what is it, where is it coming from? And since now we'd like to move more from the implementation phase towards our users, towards the patients, and towards the healthcare professionals for whom the services are destined, we've decided to also change the name into MyHealth EU, because it kind of gives more of a better idea of what the services are about. And yes, with MyHealth EU, we are hoping to extend the services with the help of projects such as Unicom, such as Cross eHealth, and other projects, of course, but they're not listed, but there are many of them. And we hope to use the entire robustness of the infrastructure to deliver services to our, I will keep pressing. Long, just hold it. All right, shaking works, thank you. Why are we doing this? And I know these lines, when you hear them, it's something you've heard before, but I've learned, and especially in public administration, it's important to repeat your visions, to repeat and keep in mind why are you doing what you're doing. So obviously, we want to ensure the continuity of healthcare of patients. Patient is coming first. We'd like to uphold that patient-centric phenomenon that's I think central in our services. So we want to ensure continuity of healthcare in the EU and provide reliable information to the healthcare, to treating healthcare professionals. Of course, transferring medical information is one thing, but what comes hand in hand with this is security and trust, security of the system, security of the infrastructure, and the trust of your stakeholders that the system is secure. So this is something that the past a number of years has been used during the implementation phase to ensure this. One of the main benefits that we have in our community is learning from each other, learning about good practice in other states, learning from colleagues, asking colleagues to come over and explain, and very, very close cooperation between experts in member states. That's an integral part of our work. And this cooperation happens, of course, not only between member state experts, but also with the Commission, because colleagues from the Commission are an integral part of our team and of our system. The basic scenario that we have right now, and you've probably heard or seen this before, of medical data exchange for patient summary or for e-prescription at this point, is the basic scenario when a treating healthcare professional is requesting some medical information about a patient who comes into his office or into the pharmacy. It's a pull scenario when that professional is retrieving information from the country of affiliation of the patient. What's in the future for us is adding more scenarios or more use cases to this one, because this is it's a good one, obviously, but it's not enough. Of course, our stakeholders and users want and need more. So with the help of Cross eHealth and other projects, we hope to discuss and in the future implement further scenarios. I love this picture, and this is, I borrowed again from my colleague Espen. I saw him before, I'm not sure if he's here. But I like this illustration because it nicely illustrates what I call the magic behind the scene. And what happens once my patient summary, which is in Czech language in the beginning, goes through the infrastructure, and at the end you have a patient summary in French or any other language, or in the language of the treating healthcare professional. What's important is that the cross-border services enable the translation of the patient summary, which is not a translation in the real sense of the word, but it's rather mapping values onto each other, language, language from the original country into the English of the pivot document into the language of the country of the treating doctor, and thus providing the doctor with a medical documentation in his or her own language. We've gone through, let's say, evolvement in our group. Just, I don't know how much, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there were colleagues who were saying that we cannot or should not allow any other information other than information in the country of the treating healthcare professional. We shouldn't allow anything else to go through because it might confuse the healthcare professional, it might not be safe. We've moved from that, and besides the translated data, we are also able to send over something called free text or original data, which means that if the original country has some medical information about a patient, but it's not in a coded format, meaning it cannot be mapped and go through that magic cannot be performed on it, we are able to also send over the data in the original text. We have agreed in the group, along with the healthcare professional, that some information is better than no information at all. So in some cases, we are also transferring original text. We do have many challenges to be overcome. These are only a couple of them. Of course, there are more. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything to speak about at our meetings. So there are many challenges to overcome. First one of being that, of course, we have different level of data quality or existence of that data in member states. So obviously, that's why I was saying previously that we have moved from that philosophy of only coded mapped data to preferably coded mapped data, but if it's not available, we will also transfer original data because there may be information there which is useful for the treating medical professional. What I would also point out here, and it was mentioned before by some speakers, but you can have a brilliant, genius semantic team, you can have a brilliant technology and implementing team, but if you don't have support on policy level and a political level, it's really no use. You won't be able to introduce the changes, you won't be able to implement what you want, the services that you want to implement. So a big part of our job is also doing the marketing on the management level, on the policy level, explaining the necessity and explaining the benefits of these services. And of course, it is also, you can imagine that it's a quite difficult challenge for a country to enter the infrastructure. It's not a matter of a week or two, it's rather a matter of a year or two, because it takes a lot, really. It takes a lot. Of course, in some countries more or less than others, it depends on their level of preparation, but it's a difficult process. And it's not only entering operation and getting the okay that you can enter the infrastructure and start exchanging, but you also have to upkeep that level of quality and sureness so that all the other countries will be sure that you are a part of that circle of trust and they can open up their or the sensitive information of their citizens to you. Whoops. The challenges can be overcome. As I said, we do have 13 countries in operation already. This is a picture from, I think I made it in before the summer holidays. So Poland is missing there in operation. But this is just to show you, illustrate that it's quite difficult to upkeep the testing. When we test, and yes, testing is important, and we test all the time. And this is one of the things, one of the challenges, I didn't list it there, but one of the challenges that we're facing now is to revisit our testing framework, because the testing framework is all right for up to 10 countries, but now that we have more than 10 countries, and it's not only testing a country and a country, you always have to test a pair when the country is requesting and receiving. So all these pairs of services we need to test at least twice a year from performance point of view and also from functional point of view. It's quite a complex system. And as you see, you've also seen this picture before, but this is just an illustration on how countries should or would like to come on board and enter the system. We're now 2022, so Poland, as I said, is in operation already. Greece, Cyprus, and Sweden, I think, wanted to be in operation already, but I think someone has already mentioned that you plan, but then comes reality. So they are I would say one step in, just about ready to enter into operation. And we're expecting, let's say, a larger onboard of countries by 2025, hopefully. And we do hope that by that time, by 2025, or by the time most of the countries join, that there will be a much more or bigger rollout of the services, because at this point, we have a very low exchange rate, especially in the patient summary services. Not many documents are being exchanged. It's a bit better on e-prescription, especially due to Finland and Estonia. They do exchange a lot of prescriptions, but otherwise the numbers are not so great. Of course, it has practical reasons, the first one of which being it's quite hard to market a service when you say you can retrieve patient summary abroad when you visit another country, or you can retrieve your e-prescription, and then under the line you say, but only in Malta, Czech Republic, Luxembourg, and Croatia. It's difficult. But of course, the situation is improving. As I said, more and more countries are boarding, more and more countries are implementing their national contact points, and we believe they will be coming into operation. And if not, then of course, we have something that was also mentioned before, the proposal of a regulation for European health data space, which is, I would say, logical culmination of that timeline that you've seen before. We've been piloting, we've been trying, testing, projects have been financed, and finally, the Commission has decided that it's about time that the services, or that the money used is really used efficiently, and that the countries start exchanging mandatorily. If EHDS comes into force, member states will have to implement national contact points and exchange information. We do believe that this will be a good thing. I do have to admit, I hope without fear, that the first proposal we were a bit our views were not the same as the Commission views, let's say, but I've been observing the consultations, and it seems that the outcome will be a good one, and it will serve the better for European citizens. So we're quite satisfied with the way the consultations are working, and I think most of us are looking forward to the EHDS. And challenges that we have, I don't think I have to go through them. Of course, new countries coming onward and using the outcomes of the projects that you've heard about. And what I hope you will hear about in the future, maybe next time, will be the PATHET project, which will involve another stakeholder actively into our infrastructure, which is the patient. So the patient will be able to retrieve his or her translated medical documentation, medical data. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a nice event today.